CJCC today is August 21st?
Yep.
Of 2025. Sarah, will you call the roll?
Sure. We've got CJCC Chair, Judge Meyer. We've got CJCC Vice Chair, Kevin Bigd. We've got County Manager Dan Dunbar. We've got Supervisor Don Jetson as a designee of Chair McAuliffe. We've got Judge Peterson, Judge Wagner. We've got District Attorney Andrea Nodolf. We have Clerk of Court Katie Shalley. We have Department of Corrections Area Supervisor Michelle Barrow. We have Victim Witness Coordinator Maria Herdahl. We have UW Stout Police Chief Greg Colossus. We have Citizen Member Rod Smeltzer. We also have Citizen Member Jamie Dardine. We have Child Support Director Josie La Liberty, and we have Public Health Director KT Gallagher. And then we have a couple of guests. We've got Shelley Jo Metzger here. We have Andrew Gar online, and we have Dylan Christ in attendance. Did I call everybody's name?
That's a yes. Did everyone receive a copy of the meeting minutes from May 15th of 2025? And if so, did you read them and do we have a motion to approve those minutes? Is there a second? Any comments or corrections? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
I don't know if that was an opposition.
There's probably a delay in the sound, so she was just saying aye. So
All right. So is there any public comments?
no public comments.
We're going to rearrange our agenda today. We have Andrew Gar, who's going to talk about the grant awarded for expanded mobile peer support. And I think we're going to take him first because then he can leave. After that, we're going to take Shelley Jo Metzger. And she's going to talk about Dunn County Jail Therapeutic Community. And if we do those two first, then both of those people can leave. Good for you. All right. So.
All right, and Andrew, the floor is yours.
Okay, just want to make sure with technology, can you hear me? Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
I don't know if
Yes,
the
we
room
can.
hear you.
Okay, all right, thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to be here today. My name is Andrew Gar, and I'm the Program Director for WEMA, or Wisconsin Milkweed Alliance. I want to begin by expressing gratitude to the Criminal Justice Collaborating Council for your ongoing commitment to building solutions that benefit our entire county. I especially want to recognize Sarah Benedict for her leadership in helping move this grant opportunity forward. I'm here today to share exciting news. Dunn County and WEMA have been awarded funding through the State Crisis Intervention Program, or SCIP grant. This funding provides us with a unique opportunity to strengthen and expand WEMA's mobile outreach peer support program throughout the county. The SCIP grant, administered by the Wisconsin Department of Justice and supported by the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, provides counties and tribes across the state with resources to improve local crisis response systems. A total of $1.68 million has been made available statewide, with counties eligible for awards up to $75,000 and no local match requirement. The funding period begins September 1st, 2025 and runs through September 30th, 2026. The purpose of this grant is to strengthen community-based approaches to crisis response, suicide prevention, firearm safety, peer support, and other interventions that reduce reliance on emergency departments and law enforcement as the only crisis options. What this grant means for us here in Dunn County is that we now have the opportunity to add another tool to our response systems. Mobile outreach peer support will be available for voluntary referral to work alongside law enforcement, EMS, and other partners, helping to address mental health or substance use challenges in a way that emphasizes connection, stability, and long-term follow-up. This is not about replacing existing services, it's about supporting and enhancing them. When our law enforcement or EMS partners respond to a call where someone is in distress, Mobile outreach peer support can be activated as an additional voluntary resource, providing peer-led support, de-escalation, and linkage to community services. The goal is to reduce the strain on emergency systems while ensuring individuals receive compassionate, ongoing support beyond the immediate crisis or challenge. It's important to distinguish this initiative from the services provided by Northwest Connection, which many of you already know well. Northwest Connections is primarily a 24/7 crisis helpline. Their team provides immediate telephone-based support, risk assessment, and referral with the ability to coordinate mobile crisis responses when necessary. This service can be voluntary or involuntary as a response. Mobile outreach peer support, on the other hand, will be peer-led and community-based. Instead of being primarily a phone-based, mobile outreach peer support specialists will go directly into the community, into homes, public spaces, and other environments to offer in-person support. The service is completely voluntary and is available for the individual or their family and friends. Individuals do not have to be in immediate crisis to utilize the service and can request support to potentially mitigate the need for further crisis response. This means mobile outreach peer support doesn't duplicate what Northwest Connections is already doing. It fills a gap by offering voluntary, peer-driven, face-to-face support and follow-through rooted in lived experience and recovery principles. With this funding, our goals are to expand access to voluntary crisis support throughout the county by meeting individuals where they are, provide collaborative voluntary response options for law enforcement, EMS, and justice partners who need additional resources on scene, ensure continuity of care with peer specialists connecting individuals to the Kaleidoscope Peer Recovery Center, Monarch House, Project Hope, and other community resources, and strengthen partnerships across Dunn County's justice, health, and human service systems to create a more seamless safety net. We believe that bringing mobile outreach peer support into the response system, we will offer a voluntary, trauma-informed, recovery-oriented alternative in moments of crisis, reduce repeat crisis and system involvement by addressing underlying needs through peer follow-up, build public trust, especially for those who may be hesitant to engage with traditional systems, and collect meaningful data and evaluation measures to demonstrate outcomes that support CJCC's evidence-based mission. In closing, the SCIP grant represents a meaningful investment in our county's ability to respond to crisis in ways that are voluntary, collaborative, compassionate, and effective. Mobile outreach peer support will stand alongside individuals and other providers as a strong resource in our community's toolkit. We are grateful for the support of the CJCC in helping to bring this forward, and we look forward to working closely with all of you as we launch this program this fall. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today.
Mr. Gar, are you taking questions today?
Absolutely. I can do the best that I can to answer them. It's a brand new program, but I'm here for it.
Does anyone have any questions? So you don't have a microphone, Mayor.
What is the Monarch House?
The mayor just asked, what is the Monarch House?
Monarch House is our peer-run respite. It's one of 7 other peer-run respites that are located throughout the state. Monarch House is located in Menominee here, and it offers emergency services for individuals that are looking for a place to stay for up to 7 overnights that are experiencing a mental health challenge or a substance use challenge. And it's used to bridge the gap before somebody may need to go into more structured environments, such as a behavioral health unit. It's all operated and run by peer supporters and offers peer support solutions for those individuals.
Are there any other questions? Mr. Gar, thank you so much for coming and talking to us. Hey, you can stay if you so choose. It's an open meeting. But if you wanted to leave, we would be okay with that as well.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Shelley Joe. You have things you'd like to talk about?
I sure do. Hello, everyone. My name is Shelley Jo Metzger, and most of you know me. Some of you don't. I am the substance use counselor inside of the jail. I am here to talk to you guys about the new program that was started in February of this year. It is called the Dunn County Therapeutic Community. And most of you that know me know that this is pretty dear to my heart. This is my story of recovery that I wish I could have had, but I was given a different opportunity, thankful to some people that were involved in my situation. But if I had been given the opportunity, I think this is what would have worked for me. So with that being said, what is a therapeutic community? A therapeutic community is a standalone block or pod within the jail setting. Anybody that's incarcerated obviously is in a pod or a block, but this would be a standalone, which would not be included of anybody else that's not in the program. So this program itself is just for people that are in recovery. Right now in the jail, what we're using is a 12-man or a 12-bed room. There is 6 bunks, obviously 12 beds, and it's males only. We don't have a female one, and right now I'm kind of okay with that. Sorry to say, but the therapeutic community is a community-based treatment in its own right. It is not me walking in there continuously trying to say, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. This is self-guided, but I can say that without some guidance from somebody, it's not going to work. So I do go in there quite often. But anyway, the purpose of this is to encourage people to learn how to help each other. Obviously, in the jail setting, they're with each other every day, all day long. But I can tell you from my own experience of being in the jail, there's a difference between being in one of the blocks that is not therapy or therapeutic based to being in this block. This block doesn't have the everyday talk about drugs, alcohol, which I can tell you as a person with the experience that kept me in the mindset of wanting to use. It was hard for me, but like I said, I was given a different chance. So within this community, I would say that these gentlemen are offered not only the continuance of going and attending the programming that we have available through our program director, which is a multitude of different classes. We have over 60 that are in our bag. I think she chooses about 10 or 12 per month. It is a requirement that they do attend at a minimum one of those. I can tell you that they do not attend just one. And this is voluntary basis. This is not, they're not being made to go there. This is voluntary. They attend many of those classes. They also, in their community, are encouraged to, again, support each other, which means they can either run their own type of a group in that community. Let's say they want to run an AA meeting, they can do that. They have done that. They have actually run their own peer-led groups in there. So with it being said that it's a therapeutic community, it is a therapeutic community in that setting. And I don't know if that's not making any sense to anybody, but we can talk about it. This being started in February with 12 beds, I have had consistent beds being filled to 6. I've gone down to 4. I've gone up to 7. And by next week, we'll be at 8. It has been a slow progress, but I don't think it's been that slow. In my opinion, this has not been going that long. It has been I don't want to say an out, but I think some people thought this was going to be an out. For them to have to be where they were and then come into this setting and say, oh, God is going to like me because I'm in there. They can't just get in there. This is not just a, hey man, I want to go there. They have to meet a certain criteria, obviously, with inside of the jail. There is a medium and then risk. They can't be a high risk. They have to be approved by administration, which is the sergeants and the captain. They have to meet with me to determine whether or not they're a low, medium, or high substance use issue. And then they also have to write a one-page letter telling us about why they want to be in there, what they have to offer to that community. Is there no, you're not gonna be allowed in there because you wrote something weird on that? No, that's not gonna happen. However, I can say it is nice to look at, to say, hey, you did say that you were gonna offer. And so I do call them out. I do ask them, hey, what's going on? You're not doing exactly what you said you were gonna do, but the thank you. The life in there is calm. There's no fighting. I'm sure there's little bitty arguments that go on in there, but they are all very cooperative. I mean, you would probably get that reaction out of the corrections officers inside of the jail. The first picture, they were actually running their own AA meeting. The second picture, they have quite a few books within their community, and that is not normal in an actual block. And it's pretty normal for a lot of people to work on puzzles. So with that being shown, one of the things that I require them to do is to be up at 10 a.m. in the morning, and they have to make their bed. They cannot go back to their bed and go to sleep under the covers. They need to be up from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. They need to be productive. In my opinion, as being a person with the lived experience, to be able to experience what it's like to go out in the community and work for only 6 hours here, but 8 hours, you're going to have to be awake and not watching TV and not laying down and taking a nap. So I don't care if they put a puzzle together because that takes skill. I don't care if they play cards together because that's a communication skill. I care that they're doing something. If they're laying around not doing anything, then that's a different story. They are given mats and they do exercise on their own. I don't make them exercise. I would say if they could, they would exercise more. But we don't have a lot of space for the exercising part of it. And so you can go to the next one. So in this picture, this is something new that our program director started not this month, but last month, because we had 2 interns with her. He's not actually in the picture, but there is a, what do you call a student that comes to help? Volunteer.
Intern?
Yes, thank you. There is an intern right on the other side of this camera, and he is actually conducting a group with them. So this community has had their own peer, or not peer led, and their own evidence-based led groups by somebody in the jail, not the peer led ones. That's different from any other block. They don't get that in any other block. So this I thought was pretty darn cool. They're getting extra education. They're obviously probably not totally willing to have to be there, but they have to sit up and pay attention in some way. And I think that this is pretty special that they do get their own group or class within that setting. The other thing that is different, you can go back one, is on that right-hand side, that's actually Andrew who just spoke. And it's one of our participants. We started offering them free mentoring through the Roundtable Revival here in Menominee. So each one of our participants are set up with a peer mentor. That mentor comes in and sees them once a week. So not only do they have to go to a group, stay up from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., they see me once a week, and they see a mentor once a week. So they do have quite a bit of guidance, I would say, in my opinion. They have quite a bit of guidance. We have some really good volunteers that come in and do classes. So this is pretty special. I would say, in my opinion, this has assured me that they're getting what they need when they leave here. Because in the beginning, I didn't want anybody to be in that community that wasn't going to have the help at the door, because I can only walk them to the door. I can't go any further. I can't say you need to go to your appointment and then take them to the appointment. But that mentor can. So this is a really huge, soft, almost a hard handoff, because they're doing it. They're taking them. They're actually taking them from here to St. Cloud to get to treatment. That's just one of the examples. They're making sure that they get to meetings. They're staying in contact with them. I do hear about it. I think that is pretty awesome. You can go to the next one after that. And I do have some testimonials in here from a few of the people that have been in there. I would say most of them are pretty upbeat about it. I like this one because it says being able to point your nose in the right direction and want to do better. The purpose of this is in an environment that he says is epic. Of course it's epic. Next one is, I hope many inmates in the future will have the opportunity to take advantage of the TC program. I wouldn't be sober or writing this without the letter, or the letter without it. I highly recommend the TC program to anyone who is looking to get sober and really wants to learn ways to deal with their triggers and how to have an overall happier and better life. And the last one is, the treatment community is a group of like-minded that not only want but need help. We are given help and guidance for support. I don't know how he said this, but I'm sure it's have more tools and have been refreshed, and I'm ready for a restart. You can go to the next one. So like I said, it started in February and it's been pretty consistent on the 6th. We have a total in the jail of 240 beds. So there's always potential to increase with this, obviously. Was it? We have 160 beds? Really? I thought it was 240. I don't know why. Sorry, incorrect information. Do not calculate. The other thing that I wanted to say is that y'all know, the people that have been here for a little bit, y'all know that the MAT stuff has still continued to go in the jail. So in other words, we're still offering the Vivitrol injection, and all of that program still stands. That is just continued without additional funding. However, we do have the NNAI grant that most of you know about, and that grant supports the Vivitrol injection. So I do have people in the TC that are TC and MAT. I have people out of the TC that are just MAT, but the MAT people still need to go to a group and see me to talk about what they're going to do when they get out. So there are still some requirements to the MAT part of it. It's just not as structured as it is for the TC. The one thing I did want to say is, we were given hopefully a little bit more money from the NAI grant. But the other thing is that as of August 1st, the state is going to allow us to give it for free to alcohol use disorder. This was not in the original grant. This was opioid use disorder only. So we have a lot more alcohol use disorder in our jail than we do opioid use disorder. So this is astronomical to me to have this available. We've increased a little bit. I think it's going to take a little time for it to get around that it's available for alcohol. So thanks, Sarah. You're awesome. Any questions?
Not necessarily a question, just some addition. The treatment community is kind of a privilege in there, you'll notice. Especially the judges that see people come to court in orange jumpsuits or orange. They wear different colored, they wear blue to identify them as treatment community participants. And they have a few more privileges and they have to earn them. It's a privilege to be in there and can be taken away at any time. So they enjoy it and don't want to lose it. So they're usually on their best behavior.
I have had to kick a couple people out. So it does, it has happened because when I know the grant was originated and it says in the grant that there's only two requirements. One is that it's a standalone block and the other one is that they're all UA'd. I did have a gentleman who didn't want to do a UA, so I was like, well, then you can't be in there. I had somebody else that was inappropriate and I said, you can't be in here. I had somebody else not complying to probation and I said, you can't be in here. So I felt like a judge.
Put the button on. So is this available for people that are both like pretrial where they can't make bail
That's a good question.
as well as people that are serving a sentence?
Yes.
Okay.
So I did not restrict this to after, because literally, this is not in jails. This is a program that's in prisons where there's a set 6 months, 9 months, 1 year program. And obviously if they're pretrial or whatever it is, I've had people go in there and they were only in there for 1 day. I didn't know that though at the time either, and neither did that person. Otherwise, I still would have let them come in there for 1 day, but that's not the purpose of it. But no, I don't restrict them. I think no matter what it is in their brain, because this is my brain thinking like them, is that whatever I can get that tells me I can start my journey of recovery, that's good. So I'm not going to restrict them personally. I don't think that's a good way to tell anybody, no, you can't come in there because you're only going to be here for a few days, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Can you do you know what the ratio is right now from pretrial inmates to sentenced inmates
In this
in the
setting,
treatment community right now? I know there's several pretrial.
I would
inmates
say
participating.
out of all 6 that are in there, none of them are sentenced. All of them are waiting. One is close. It will be 2 weeks and he will know. And then there's quite a few unknowns. And one of them is revocation and that's still at an unknown status on where that's going to be at. So that's a good question. Yeah.
Shelley, I have a question. So there's not like an average length of stay. It's going to be individualized per person. And is there like a completion or a graduation, or is it you're going to another facility or you're being released? Like, what's the
So
end?
there really can't be a graduation because there's no real ending to it. If you were in a prison setting, there is an ending to it. In the jail, you could be there, like I said, for like a week and then you're done. And the purpose of it is to help that person find recovery and then utilize the soft handoffs that I do, like to Dylan and Aaron, or utilize the Monarch House, or utilize Arbor Place. I have people that are going directly from hopefully, because they haven't been sentenced, directly from the setting to the treatment center. So there's a lot of different areas and ways that somebody can go to, but the overall is you could be there for 1 month of a program or 6 months of a program. We've had people in there since February. We've had people that have been in the whole time that it started. I would say, yeah, there's only one in there that's been in there the whole entire time. And he's the one that's probably going to get out in like 2 or 3 weeks. And he has a plan. He has a very good plan and he has a very good mentor that's going to help him get started in the right way. Yeah. You're welcome. And it's not that I can't follow up with them. It's just that most of the time I don't have their phone numbers because the phone numbers that are in the system are old phone numbers. So even if I do try to contact them, it's been pretty hard. But now with the mentors, I've been able to keep up with them because we've even have a couple people that have gone to prison. So I've actually heard that they're actually doing pretty well in the prison setting, and this is a person that was vomiting the night before he went to prison. So he was pretty afraid of the whole prison setting. So he's actually doing well. He contacts his mentor 3 times a week almost. So that's really good to hear because that's a whole different kind of a setting.
How do you get the mentors? Or who signs up for that?
So actually, Andrew is the one that runs it. And what happens is I ask them when I meet with them, do you want a mentor? And I tell them what it's about. They tell me yes. I have a 6-page mentee intake form is what Andrew has come up with, which basically asks them questions about things that they like to do, so that they can have something in common to talk to their mentor about. And then that information goes to Andrew. He sits down with all of his mentors. They discuss who's going to take who. And then they figure out the schedule and then they let me know. So I keep track of that and make sure that they can come in there and do it face to face.
The mentors are all through Milkweed, correct?
They're through Roundtable Revival, which is different than Milkweed. Roundtable Revival is peers that are volunteering. So none of them are being paid to do it because it's a volunteer basis. Yeah, which is big that they come in there to spend their time. Yeah. Good question.
Are there any other questions?
No question, but I just want to point out that Andrew just sent a message in Teams for more information on mentoring. You can visit roundtablerevival.org.
They're always looking for good folks that want to mentor.
I've never had anybody turn one down. And I can't see why anybody would turn down a mentor because that's your life link to the outer world. Radios. What's the qualifications to be a mentor? I don't know exactly the qualifications, but they do have to be somebody in recovery. And I believe a lot of them actually have had some type of incarceration experience. Because, you know, if you can connect on that level, that makes a difference. That's where I do have the upper in this because I've had the experience of both. And they act totally different with me than they do with the rest of the staff, but we have excellent COs though that do really, really well with the whole entire jail. Kudos to them.
I'll send out the Teams link that Andrew just sent to the attendees, so you have more information that you can link to. So that, you know, they are looking for mentors. It is a free service, as Shelley Jo mentioned, and that is a difference than Milkweed Connections, which is a paid peer support service and clinical based.
Is there anybody online that has a question?
Anybody online that has a question?
I could raise their hand if they want. Did you have?
I have brochures if anybody wants a brochure. I can leave a few here. And Sarah, you can take whatever back with you.
Yeah, if you want to send some around the table.
Yeah, I could do that too.
Shelley Jo, thank you so much for coming.
And thank you for having me. I appreciate that. And I want to say thank you for this opportunity to do this. Let's come here. Do my job.
I think you do a wonderful job and I am so glad we have you in our system.
Thank you. Thank you, you too.
Thank you. All right, moving on with the next agenda item. If you want to leave, go ahead if you want to. Consideration of actions to be taken by the council. Letter A is bylaw change. Sarah, did you want to explain that or did you want me to do so?
I'd be happy to unless you'd like to.
You go ahead.
Oh, sure. So the last CJCC meeting quarterly that we had, we did make some changes to the membership. But through discussion, we kind of reached the conclusion that we needed to change the language as far as the delegates. So on the agenda is the proposed language change, and in the packet are the CJCC bylaws. But really just looking for a modest change here that essentially a single designee may attend the council meetings. So to just make that more frequent, so they can attend more than 2 meetings. It was restricted before, but we're looking really for that single designee for that continuity. So that is the proposed language change.
The bylaws are attached to your packet, and it's on page 3 of the bylaws. The change is highlighted.
I move to make these changes to the bylaws.
Second that.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? And so that passes. Let's move on to the Batters Women's Project donation recommendations. Sarah, what do you think about that?
All right, this is an item that was passed by the executive committee at their June meeting. As you may be familiar, the CJCC received a $5,000 donation for participating with the Battered Women's Project. And we came up with, through a collaborative meeting with a lot of different stakeholders, including human services, victim witness, the city, police, the sheriff's office, ADRC, CJCC, and Bridge to Hope, the recommendations to use that $5,000. So the executive committee did approve these items, 1 and 2, essentially funding for documents, important documents and legal fees. And then the other large category is short-term and long-term needs. So these were the items that were identified as needs. And the CJCC executive really looked at a limit of $200 per family to allow for these needs to be met. So really just looking for this council to consider this and approve it. And we can get this started.
So let's start with a motion. Does anyone have a motion to approve this?
So moved.
You know, Sheriff, this is why I like you.
Get her done.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there discussion? If there is no discussion, then I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? And so that passes as well. Sarah, you want to do grant updates?
Yeah, I'm just kind of using this as a way to talk about the list of letters of requests that we're looking for. So a lot of our grants are up for renewal. And as you can see, we're looking at the 2025, 2026 area. So the first one, and I'll just kind of go over each and then we can take actions, would be for the 2026 TAD grant, which runs January through December. We're looking to renewal that. That's a non-competitive renewal. It does require a 25% match from the county, which has always been kind of built into the budget. But that supports pretrial services, the treatment opportunity diversion program. And then as of last year, we received $100,000 for treatment court enhancements. So we're really looking to continue those efforts in the grants for 2026. The next thing on our list is the Justice Assistant JAG grant. So this supports law enforcement deflection efforts in the sheriff's office. This largely pays for behavioral health officer Dylan Crisp's position, and then a little bit of training dollars and support dollars to really help with some of those direct supports. The good news here is we're getting an increase up to $160,000, and that will start October 1st through September of next year. So requesting a grant for us to continue those services. The third thing is the RSAT grant that Shelley Joe talked about with the therapeutic community. That grant is going to be opened up next week, and that one is also a non-competitive grant. And we are told that we're probably getting more money. Some of the other sites that were designated as therapeutic communities have decided not to move forward with the funding. So that just means there's more funding that will be spread around the other sites that are still operating. So just because we're not going to meet as a body before that grant is going to be due, requesting a letter of support for that grant application. And then the fourth one here is the federal office, a federal grant for victims of crime. This might be a moot point. The grant was due yesterday. We did our best effort to get the grant together. I submitted it and then I retracted it because I didn't put page numbers on it, and it was a technical snafu. So we do have a request to have a waiver, but there has been no feedback on that waiver. But that grant was really looking for direct support services for victims of crime. That would be out of the district attorney's office of victim witness. And then to do some construction and remodeling. And that was just another area that it was really hard to pull together estimates to get a solid plan in a short order for us to actually have a very competitive grant. So I think other things were really solid in that plan, but we do need our partners to be able to jump to it as well. And that was hard for facilities to accommodate. So we never did get our estimates on that, which, I don't know how it would have turned out, but we just put placeholders of, certain amounts of money. So, still requesting for the support, because there's a chance that they're going to consider it. But this also would give us that flexibility to be able to respond to these grants in short order. We've done all the work. We've put a lot of hours into it, Maria and myself, and District Attorney Nodoff as well, with her guidance, and really just looking for that additional funding. There's been federal cuts, state cuts to victim services, so we're really looking to kind of bolster that overall. And then some quick updates on the other grants. A lot of things are going to be going up. The NNAI, the MAT grant, we're getting an extra almost $20,000, and it's expanded to alcohol, as Shelley Jo mentioned, which is fantastic. And then we also have our law enforcement abatement grant, which the renewal is coming, so we still have that $250,000. That's what's going to be supporting the sheriff's office caseworker to support the behavioral health officer, Dylan Christ, and all the work that he's doing with Project Hope. So I'd be happy to address any questions, and then I think we're ready for actions.
What type of action do you need?
Letters of that you're supportive of these grant applications, and we can show that through an action.
Okay. And so are there questions for Sarah regarding these grants? See any questions?
All right.
Do we have a motion to support these grants?
I will make a motion. This is Paula.
Josie seconds.
Is there any other discussion? And Sarah, do you just need those letters signed by the chair and the chair-elect?
Actually, we don't need letters of support. We just need actions by the CJCC in the minutes that this was discussed and approved. But I can put together a letter that you can sign and attach our action behind it, if you agree to that.
Sure. All right, so all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Is there any opposed? Moving on to criminal justice data trends.
Right. Let's see, we'll kind of speed round through this. So sharing a little bit of updated data on the trends of our local cases that are coming through the clerk of court's office. This chart here shows the trend line on the top, just the number of cases that are coming through the court system overall. So you can clearly see that upward trend for just all types of cases that are coming through. The blue is felony and the orange is misdemeanor. And as you can see, those have been relatively steady in the last 5 years or so. Just want to note that this is last year's are all pre or post COVID. So just taking a look at a longer view, here we have 6-year trends overall, and on the far right is the 18-year average, because Katie has good records, so she can give me 18 years of stats and just a send of an email. But just again, just showing some of the trends over time. When it comes to felonies on the blue line, those actually have been trending downward a little bit from the average. Looking at misdemeanors, those have trended upwards a little bit when we're actually, let me stop that. Felonies have trended really on par. Misdemeanors have went down just slightly when we're talking about the longer average. And then the non-traffic ordinances definitely are trending downwards overall. These are some charts that we looked at last August, so they might look familiar to you overall. And last year, we wanted to dig into the juvenile data as well. So this chart shows the trends in the juvenile filings. So we've got the blue line are the CHIPS orders. So you can see in 2024, the numbers are less than the 6-year or the 18-year average. Same is true for the juvenile delinquency, which is that reddish kind of color there. And then when we're looking at terminations of parental rights, that is also trending downward. And juvenile civil ordinance violations, that is actually trending upward overall. And then similar to the last slide, we have those 18-year averages on the far right, just for a comparison. So on the juvenile side, we're definitely going in the right direction. On the felony misdemeanor side, I think we're holding our own. So, this isn't a causal thing, but it does show that collectively, all the efforts that are being made are not necessarily reducing or increasing the amount of crime out there as far as filings are concerned. So any questions on some of the data here?
I'm just curious as to how this compares to our population trend for the county.
That's a great question, and that kind of harkens back to our former sheriff, Dennis Smith, who had put together a slide that I probably still have that showed how our county population has definitely went up over time. Which it has grown leaps and bounds. And, our current sheriff has been around long enough that he's probably seen the county grow and the jail population grow over time as well. So that's something that I can put together just to kind of show, and we can even show some of those jail stats too. This data is just clerk of court filing, so it doesn't reflect the jail numbers. But those trends have definitely went up over time at a faster rate than the population itself. But yeah, we can, that'd be fun to dig into and present to you. Yep.
Any other questions? Sarah, do you want to move right into your staff report?
Staff report, written staff report was in the packet. I think we addressed some of the highlights, but be happy to answer any questions that folks might have.
Are there any questions about the staff report? Randy, do you need the staff report? Because I'm sure you have a question. Oh. Okay. Well, I don't have any questions. I think you do a really good job, Sarah. I think it's really hard to write those grants, and they're very technical, and occasionally something happens and you
Mm.
miss something, and I don't think that's a new story. I think that's maybe an old story.
Right, yeah, I was kind of debating, should I pull it back for page numbers or just let it go? And I'm like, no, this will work, right? And had an extra hour, no.
Hopefully that lets you put it in.
Yes.
Are there any agency updates?
I'll just share that Dylan's new partner, his case manager, will be starting September 2nd. That's a grant funded position. She'll be working with Dylan and kind of taking over some of the case management stuff, so he has time to focus on kind of law enforcement aspects instead of juggling cases nonstop. She'll be able to do a lot of the follow-up once kind of care and communication's been established. She'll be able to take over some of that case management and follow up with some of the people that Dylan's dealing with, Dylan and Aaron. And the city is probably a month away, if not probably a little longer, from hiring their case manager as well. So
What's her name?
when we're hiring.
Yeah.
Remember?
Lindsay.
Lindsay. Yeah, I don't remember her last name now. I can't
Mallon.
remember my own name half the days.
I look forward to meeting her. So, is there any other updates from any agencies? If you see the next meeting dates, there is the executive committee meeting on September 1st.
September 3rd. That's Labor Day, as many of you pointed out, is the first, so my bad.
September 3rd at 11. There's the DNA collection and warrant fee mapping. We had to move that because I had a death in my family, and so we moved the last one, and so now we're set for September 16th. And there's the next CJCC quarterly meeting on November 20th. So in November, we'll see all of us again. Is there anything you want to add, Sarah?
Nope. Thank
No?
you.
Then I think that we'll adjourn.